point 3 Nigeria Info. I hope my voice holds through this interview. Very important interview we're going to be having. 3 minutes past 5. And I'm sure last week you heard about the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. And for a second successive year, Nigeria has dropped in the rankings, which is very worrying. And we're going to have this conversation on the big hard fact. Right after this, you're going to be listening to Big Hat Fact, and then I'll come back and we'll speak with the head of Transparency International Nigeria, Awal Musa Rafsanjani. Please listen to this.
On Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022, Transparency International released the 2021 Corruption Perception Index. The survey shows that Nigeria scored 24 out of 100 in the index, falling back 1 point compared to 2020. This made Nigeria the second most corrupt country in West Africa after Guinea. Nigeria ranks 154 out of 180 countries, 5 places down compared to the country-by-country comparison of 2020. What do you make of the newly released rankings, given that anti-graft agencies such as the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and the Economic and Financial Crime Commission appear to be combating corruption in the country? Nigeria Info spoke to some Nigerians on what they make of the newly released Corruption Perception Index. Here is what they had to say.
There is a steady rise in corruption in Nigeria. Everybody knows that. It's quite alarming, the way corruption has taken deep into Nigerian society. In fact, there is nowhere you go to now that you don't meet with corruption. If you are not corrupt, you are not part of the system, you'll be left behind. So, and the government that have promised us, to eradicate corruption, to bring a stop to corruption, they have not done anything.
The government we have now has not delivered for us. Their own is just to put something into their own pocket. So we are dying. Our children are dying.
I don't even give Nigeria 154. They're supposed to be number one corrupt country in the whole world.
I think this regime, we have to be fair to them. They've really tried, though it has not been a whole 100% like we assume it to be. But to say the fact, they've really tried compared to the last regime.
All right, there you had a great job by Sandra Elena Agbe, who hit the streets to find out what Nigerians think about this whole thing. Great to have you join us, Mr. Rafsanjani.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good evening.
Excellent. Always a pleasure. Mr. Rafsanjani, Awal Rafsanjani is the head of Transparency International Nigeria. And it's always a pleasure speaking with you, sir. So first and foremost...
Thank you very much.
Great. First and foremost, I'm sure you heard Nigerians reacting there. Many of them even think we've done worse as people. Second most corrupt country in West Africa behind Guinea. Simply unbelievable how things have gone downhill. So first and foremost, unlike last year, the federal government had come hard against Transparency International. This time, they haven't said anything in response to this Corruption Perception Index. What's your reaction?
Federal government do reacted. One of the spokesperson of the government, Emi Adesina, was on channel television, reacting to the and he simply mocked the report and he rejected it on behalf of government, saying that they don't recognize foreign reports. They indeed responded, but Nigerians know that they are not willing to deal with corruption in Nigeria. And it's very sad that this is the only response that you can hear from government, instead of saying, okay, what are the gaps that we have in our governance, the public sector? What can we do to liquidity in the public sector? But they were not interested in dealing with that. They were rather interested in continuing the business as usual. And Nigerians are the one feeling and suffering from this corruption.
All right.
As we all know, if you go to any public institutions to get public services, you definitely, meet with this corruption. And Nigerians are seeing this on daily basis, and there hasn't been effort from government those lapses. Rather, is what we see in this dismissal. So it is impunity that is simply, going on, and why Nigerians are not happy is because this government made the fight against corruption as its major campaign issue, maybe probably just to deceive Nigerians and get Nigerians to be, comfortable with them. At the same time, they are not willing to address those gaps. Otherwise, any government that, say they want to fight corruption, and one day is gaps in the way and manner in which the corruption is fought, or the way the government, runs its public institutions, they should be able to listen to the public. They should be able to address those gaps. But unfortunately, because of the arrogance from some of the public officials, they are not willing and they are not ready to do that. Other countries that have been ranked by Transparency International, including our countries, our neighboring countries, and even the Europeans and Americans, many of them have come down. But what they did was simply to say, okay, how can we as non-state actors support the government to block those leakages?
Right.
In the case of the Nigerian government, is outright denial and dismissal of what Nigerians are suffering from.
Right. If you've got any questions for Mr. Rafsanjani or any comments on the latest ranking of Transparency International for corruption for Nigeria, which we're focusing on, the number to send the message is 0809 597 5805. Again, 0809 597 5805. And then you can talk to us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. So, Mr. Rafsanjani, for a lot of people who are new to what Transparency International does, what were the parameters you looked at in arriving at Nigeria's ranking this year?
So, Transparency International has developed methodology over the decades,
right,
to apply, in terms of arriving at ranking. So the methodology is simply looking at those institutions that are proven to be reliable, capable, and updated in terms of the usual ranking they do in different issues. So in the case of Nigeria ranking this year, 8 institutions that incidentally Nigeria also has relationship with, because Nigeria, for example, it has relationship with IMF, it has a relationship with the World Bank, and their ranking, which is available, if anybody can go and check, every year they carry out, reports in terms of how corruption, governance affects the countries. So, for example, out of the 8 sources, IMF, World Bank is part of the, institutions that this, reports were generated. So, Transparency International, what it does is simply to look at these institutions that are proven to have, integrity and no dispute about their reporting,
right,
and they have also, ranked multiple countries and continents. Then they now simply aggregate and say, okay, this is what Batman Foundation, the ranking is. This is what, Variety of Democracy, ranking is. And this is the IMF ranking, this is the World Bank ranking, then they will simply aggregate and arrive at the ranking they are putting. So Transparency International does not go out on its own to do like a field, study or fields, conduct a, fields, research. No, it's simply relying on the credible institutions that they've conducted, reports on various countries and simply put them together and aggregate and arrive at this. And this has been tested. This has been proven to be a very reliable, to have been tested on each of the country. And those countries, they know that these are things that they know themselves.
Right.
For example, in this year ranking, Canada was ranked and they've dropped, just like Nigeria. Belgium, they've come down. Switzerland, they have come down. Ghana has come down. And America has not moved from its last year position, which it dropped because America dropped last year.
Right.
Britain dropped last year. All these countries, you will never hear them abusing or dismissing this. What do they do usually? They say, okay, can you help us, see how we can block lapses and how we can improve in our public sector reform so that we can reduce the corruption that, our students encounter. Because in Nigeria, to get a passport, international passport, you have to pay a bribe. To get a driving license, you have to pay a bribe. To get admission in the university or any higher learning, you have to pay a bribe. Job is simply for sale, it's racketeering. And if you go to a hospital to even see a doctor or to get a bed space, that, also you have to pay a bribe. So these are things that Nigerians are seeing on the road. You see police, men and women also extorting and collecting bribe. Nothing goes on. In fact, if you make a mistake to go to court, you'll be frustrated and exploited, and that everything Nigerians are seeing on this. So what we expected, rather than Nigerian government denying this, is to say, okay, our public procurement law, is there any gaps in how our public procurement and contract is being done? If there are gaps, which many Nigerians have been pointing out this, they should have blocked it. Or the money laundering that is going, which we are losing over $18 billion annually, which is going through our financial institution. The Central Bank of Nigeria, is supposed to be, strengthened to ensure that all these are not happening. So instead of you just dismissing the thing, Nigerians are seeing this thing physically with their eyes and going through this hell of corruption in public sector. So again, I want to also emphasize here, we are not rating or evaluating the performance of government anti-corruption or evaluating the EFCC or ICBC. No, we are not. This methodology is simply looking at corruption in public sector, how the citizens and even the international visitors that visit Nigeria, they are experiencing this thing, whether in the airport, if you come to the airport, how immigration, extort money, custom extort money. These are things that everybody is seeing.
Absolutely, and it's something that has to change as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, rather than improve, is worsened. This year is worse than what it was last year, and it begs the question: if we're not making any improvement, and instead things are getting worse, what sort of reforms do you expect to see as quickly as possible to reverse this trend?
Okay, let me tell you, in 2016, when the government, end of 2015 was when the Nigerian, current president came into power. And the body language at that time that, the president is going to, come and going to stop corruption. Public officials were actually taking, the president serious. They thought it was going to be the same person that many Nigerians heard about, or they know in 1984, 85. So people, contractors who were given contract and they did not do, they started to do things. Those who are in Abuja, they can testify to you that they saw people were rushing to make sure that they are not caught up with this. That body language alone, that impression, that seriousness that which people take the government to go, that is going to be help to minimize the incidences of corruption in public sector. Workers were coming to office by 8 o'clock, 8:30. But immediately after the government settled and they did not notice any seriousness about the government or the president even taking the issues of the anti-corruption serious, business come back normal. So in 2016, the rating of Nigeria improves. But when Nigerians, they see that the whole thing is babla or babalao, as they call it sometimes, they continue to do what they were doing. And the rating did not improve. So 2017, it did not improve. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, nothing has changed because they've seen that the government is it is not really going to be seen to be doing anything. The public sector corruption continue to happen and nothing is happening. Just before we release our report,
right?
ICPC arrested just 2 civil servants with over 300 houses.
Right.
And so many of such kind of things were happening. Budget will be provided and there will be outright diversion of that money. And even the president himself, he was complaining how National Assembly members were doing budget padding. And ICPC and EFCC have been arresting so many people who have collected money in the name of constituency project. And they chop this money or they refuse to do the work that they're supposed to do with its quality and this thing. So these are things that, informs all this rating. And then when you come to do business in Nigeria,
right,
the outright, demand for bribery, by the public official
right,
to those who have come to do business in Nigeria, propose foreigners and Nigerians. These are things that, will continue to show that things are not improving and that, if you did not take measures, you will definitely continue to rate yourself, in that manner.
All right. In case you just joined the conversation, we're on to Awal Musa Rafsanjani, who is the head of Transparency International in Nigeria, and it's the backdrop of the TI's report on global report, which has shown that Nigeria has dropped at least six slots from where it was last year. And we're now like the second most corrupt country in West Africa. There's been reactions from the government saying it's not acceptable. And there are things I was going to ask you about, because there's the point you make. The people have been asked about whether they're paying bribes before they can get public service. And this has been going on for way too long. Were you able to find out, well, in your own analysis and seeing how things have happened, public civil servants who have demanded for bribe, has there been an improvement in the justice system to penalize and punish them when they have done this?
I mean, there is no any improvement because the Auditor General just released his report.
Right.
Just before we submitted, we launched our report. The Auditor General of the Federation issued his report, which is damning and showing how corruption has become very predominant, in the public sector. Agencies that have mandatory responsibility to provide audited report, they refuse to do that. So you collect money, you corner the money, you chop the money. Nothing happens. These are all happening, and that you don't even need Transparency International to let you know that public sector corruption is so overwhelming in this country. Again, just today, the Premium Time also, issued a report showing how the Attorney General of the Federation went and issued secret contract to the tune of millions, of foreign money to a firm, in the name of so-called assets recovery. These are assets that have been recovered, that have been identified, and that, some of it are already, in the judicial process of getting it. But this is what is going on. So nobody wants to see our country, going this way. because whether we like it or not, it affects our value system, it affects our relationship with outside world. If you carry your passport, you travel abroad, Nigerians are being seen as potential corrupt people. We don't like those negative images, Nigeria and Nigerians, many of Nigerians are not involved in the public sector corruption, which is those who have the responsibility to direct the affairs of public sector that are enjoying or that are doing whatever they like, that is making our country to look as if, they are a nation of just people who are not sensitive enough to know that what they are doing is not correct. So, therefore, as long as government, the public, offices, the public services will not change in the way it conducts affairs of the nation, then it will be difficult. Political corruption, for example, is very, very high. Today, you are being investigated by anti-corruption agencies,
Right.
simply because you have declared to the ruling party. Then your case will simply be, stagnated. Or you'll be seen taking photographs with the president.
Right.
Tell me which anti-corruption will deal with you, when they see you with the president romancing. So that is not good. And then look at the electoral fraud that is going on, and that's why Nigerians have been demanding changes in the electoral, act, seeking for electoral reform.
Right.
So that the corruption that is going on, political corruption that is going on, where money laundering and illicit financial outflow are used to finance political activities, to hijack political powers, so that corrupt people will continue to siphon the, taxpayers' money.
All
is
right.
What we are seeing.
Right,
So
Mr.
corruption
Rafsanjani.
is not just only about giving the money, but also abusing your office
Right.
for public and private gains.
Right. We're going to have to leave it.
Against public interest.
Brilliant, Mr. Rafsanjani. We're going to leave it at that, and I'm sure as the year goes on, I will have to get you back again to see whether improvements have happened, especially during an election eve year, and we can talk some more about the influence. It was a pleasure having you, Awal Musa Rafsanjani.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Mr. Rafsanjani is the head of Transparency International Nigeria, and we're going to go on a break. When we come back, we will engage with you and find out what you think about Nigeria's Transparency International ranking and what it does for us as a people. 99.3 Nigeria Info, let's talk.
Are you a woman who owns her own business? Is your business failing or struggling? Are you having difficulty getting to the next level?
Tell him papa, tell him mama, tell him brother, sister. Maybe come together for Wazobia Suya. Mouth and chop suya. Wazobia Suya. Shoot mouth and chop suya. Wazobia Suya.
So, Wazobia FM don't come again. And now this one we call Wazobia Suya. Make you then listen to Wazobia. So you go fit know the area where we go land for you to chook mouth and chop suya for free. Now Wazobia FM bring you this one. And now expensive himself and solid AC. We're dead for evening or yo-yo. Now them go carry this one for here. Chook mouth, chop suya.
Chook mouth and chop suya. Wazobia Suya.
Want to wake up in a home that makes you feel on top of the world, Working hours feel much better when the office looks like $1,000,000. But you don't have to break the bank when you choose Vava Furniture. Affordable quality with Vava Furniture. Any space can look more special with Vava Furniture. Better.
Enjoy unbeatable offers for home and office furniture. Visit any of our branches in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, and Kano. Visit our website at www.vavafurniture.com or call us on 08098 777 666.
Furniture is a better life with Vava Furniture. Vava for everyone.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hard facts.
Welcome back, 99.3 Nigeria Info. It's 23 minutes to 6. And our almost Rafsanjani is done with the interview on Transparency International's corruption index, where Nigeria is ranked 154. Shocking, right? But it's been that for a number of years. Welcome to the world of CPI, Corruption Perception Index. And I don't know what you think. We have just about 6 minutes thereabout for you to interact with us. And the number to call 0700 993 993 993. On WhatsApp, it's 0809 597 5805. Mohammed on Twitter says, that's an indictment on us all. We need to look inward and reflect. Busayo Loye says, it's obvious that corruption is raising under this government, but they will not accept the reality. What do you think? Let's get to the phone lines. Hello and good evening.
Hello.
Great to have you join us. What's your name, please, and where you calling from? Comrade Koboko. Please go ahead quickly. All right. Oh dear, sorry about that. Hello and good evening.
Hello.
Great to have you join us. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good evening.
What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ikeja Long.
All right, go ahead, please.
We will still be where we are if we continue doing the same thing. The body language of this government, it shows that they are not serious to fight corruption. So there won't be any miracle. I pray that the incoming government, because there was somebody who has fear of God to fight corruption. Everybody, everywhere is corruption in Nigeria. So their ranking is their right in putting us where we are now. Honestly, this government is the worst so far. They're not fighting any corruption. How can you tell somebody who you are charging for corruption, which jump to your party and his case will forgive him? Well, who does that? We're not serious. Honestly, we're not serious. So I pray that incoming government will continue to use their PVC and just give us and bring somebody who will help us to fight corruption. Well, that's the problem of everywhere.
All right.
You are driving on the way, your paper will be correct, police will intimidate you, harass you, collect money. Who are you going to report to?
Absolutely.
You are the best of them. The government agencies everywhere. So,
all right, thank you very much.
They are correct in their ranking. We're supposed to pass the way we are because it's deep. It's
Not charitable. It says we're supposed to be lower than that. All right. Hey, that is down with Fear No 4. Hello and good evening. Hello and good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Great to have you join us. What's your name, please, and where you calling from?
My name is Ugochukwu. I'm calling from Aja.
All right, Ugochukwu, go ahead quickly.
You know, this country, the way they structure it, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, and we have different mindsets. Yoruba have different mindsets. Igbo have different mindsets. Hausa have different mindsets. The best thing for this country is to divide it. That's the only option.
Ugochukwu said divide, but he mentioned three. He mentioned three tribes. There are 250 tribes in this country already.
Hello.
Hello and good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm
good
brilliant. Yes. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Peter. I'm somewhere in Chevron.
All right, Peter.
Your guest has spoken well. Buhari came to fight corruption, but the corruption has dissolved him completely. I said, a solvent. Buhari has been dissolved inside the system. You see, it has been, corruption has overwhelmed him. He couldn't even know what to do again. When they said, okay, come on, Moses, come and salvage us. Salvage us from this, let's get out from this wilderness. But Buhari came and brought us back to Egypt. Are you with me?
Yeah, we're with you.
Buhari came and brought back us. He took us back to Egypt in the name of fighting corruption. Now, let me set an example to you. NNPC, the board of directors, they were 22.
Right.
20 were from one side of the country. Only 2 from one other side of the country. Is that not corruption? Now, the army chiefs, you put them down. And you're supposed to, for that character, you don't respect it. Is that not corruption?
All right.
Now, I listened to that Musa, and he said, look, political corruption is what Buhari cannot even control in the first place.
Right.
He's overwhelmed. He has nothing to do because he's part of it.
All right. Thank you very much. And exactly. And it's something that we have to really think about. What can we do? They got one more year to go. Is there any possibility that this could change before then? We keep our fingers crossed, but they say be the 8th wonder of the world. If they can sustain this or even make it better, it will be his legacy in saying that he dealt with corruption and in 8 years, but it will be a disaster if at the end of his tenure, we still have ourselves at the lower rungs of the corruption index. That's it on Hat Facts. We have some more things to do. I'll let you into it right after this. On 99.3 Nigeria Info, let's talk.
Do they understand what the Constitution is?
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more